Hey everybody,
We are now live.
welcome back. Another Sunday night live stream, Up North Journal broadcast. Got my coffee in hand. You brought this chair over for my coffee?
Yeah, absolutely.
You even got a mic for my coffee? I
Yep.
like that.
A mic for Mike.
Yeah, a mic for my coffee. All right, we got to plug in a couple things. It's been a whirlwind the last couple days, not to mention all the bad weather that we've had that's caused some havoc. How much time did you spend outside cleaning snow today?
What were we out there? 2 hours?
Yeah.
2 hours?
2 hours. Wow, that's 3.5 for me. But we made it back home from up north.
We did.
A great weekend. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. A lot of stuff happened this weekend.
We did.
As we kind of get ready here, still putting the studio back together.
That's what happens when you tear the studio apart.
That's right. This is starting to become a trend, I think. I don't know what's up with that.
Oh, I gotta adjust something.
But, how you sound over there? Got to share a couple things?
I'm checking the shot.
Huh? What's the matter?
I moved this monitor.
Oh, now you're rearranging furniture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I'm rearranging my side of the house.
Okay. Well, we're going to share a couple things here and we'll get going tonight. You guys got questions about anything we're talking about tonight, please put them on as we go along. We'll try to answer them.
Good evening, Mr. Hoffman.
Hey, Billy, what's going on? Hope you're feeling better. Alrighty. Let's see. There's
Roads were okay on the way over.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Hopefully it's done now.
Yeah, hope so. Yeah, it's been a little crazy weather-wise here in Michigan anyway.
Billy Hoffman says we're sounding good, so that's good.
Good. Yeah, because we did switch some stuff around.
Right?
So hopefully everything's sounding good.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. We take the show on the road,
And when we come back, we got to plug everything
you
back in.
tear it all apart, and you come back and you put it all back together, and it's like,
The only thing we got to worry about is our voices being hot.
yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the only problem is when we hook it all back in, they're hot.
Yeah. So, all right.
Hey, Tim, what's happening down in West Virginia? Got some snow we can send you.
Is that Tim?
Sias?
Sias? Okay. Tim, I just got a quick bone to pick. I got home Friday night. I got out of work early. I come home and I'm thinking, Tim's on. So I get over there and I hit the thing where he's live and he says, "Thanks folks, that's all we got for tonight." And he clicked off. I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah, I knew you were coming.
It's like I come over and bang, the door closes.
And there you go. See what happens?
So, yeah. I'm just giving you a hard time, Tim.
Oh, Tim's got rain.
Got rain. I heard there was rain in Ohio too.
Tim's looking forward to the show after seeing the pictures.
Cool, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight, man. I tell you what, it was crazy. It was just a crazy. Yeah, I know, Tim. 8 to 9, it's 1 hour. I knew I was getting close to being able to chime in. So, but I saw the notification. I thought, I'm gonna at least pop in. But as soon as I popped in, he was gone. All right, are we ready?
Let's start the show 451.
All right. 451. Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Week 2 of our contest.
That's right. Don't forget we got to mention that here at the end of the show tonight.
Yep.
So you guys stay into the end of the show to make sure that you guys get in on the contest. So, all right, here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal Podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams. Tired, wore out, snowed in.
Well, you're not snowed in now.
Well, I was.
Yes,
but we're back.
You had to, it seems like every other day this week we've been snowing ourselves out, digging out. Friday today.
Was horrible. Snowed again yesterday while we were gone. Snowed again this morning. So
right, exactly.
it's just been boom, 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 boom. I think we got snow 4 out of 5 days or 5 out of 6. So,
but at least we missed it yesterday.
that we did. We were on the road. We took a trip.
We went to school.
Yeah, we took off early 5:30 yesterday morning.
The roads were a little slick.
Yeah, they were. Once we got a couple counties away, though,
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't bad. And then by the time we were 3 counties away, the freeway was dry, and it was drop the hammer and roll north. So,
and you know, it's kind of, I don't know if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but We have more snow down here than they have up north.
That was a good thing for us, at least this weekend.
Well, yeah, and it's also good for the deer, right?
It is good for the deer. We're seeing...
Since we were talking deer.
Yeah, that's something we talked a lot about, was the fact that, I think the lack of snow, and what we saw at my camp yesterday afternoon, it kind of lends some truth to that, is the fact that we saw a lot of deer.
Well, plus,
they were browsing, and
you made mention it's probably one of the very first times that you can remember that you were able to drive to the back of the property.
Yeah, drove all the way from the gate into camp, which they keep the road plowed, but I was able to drive unobstructed from camp all the way to the north end
You
of
were
the
in
property.
four-wheel drive, but I don't think there was one chance
spot we needed
that
it. Yeah.
you just kind of rolled and you were fine.
I think it was 6-8 inches deep at the most.
Maybe, and that was on the side of that hill, the one hill, but
Yeah.
it was no big deal.
No, it was nice. And it was nice seeing the deer out there. It was nice seeing them do their thing, and they looked good. The ones we saw, we did see quite a few. So, but no, we rolled up north. We got up to, for those of you who don't know, they're listening to the show, we went up to Turtle Lake, the oldest deer hunting camp in Michigan, according to Dr. Kroll, Dr. James Kroll, a.k.a. Dr. Deer.
1884.
Yep, that was the established date on their front gate.
Yep.
1884 here in Michigan. They own 26,000
acres. And then what we were discussing, we were driving, is like, okay, so how did they get there in 1884? And it just wasn't a 2.5 hour trip up the road.
No, and really, once we left the pavement, we were on dirt roads. Today's dirt roads for 7 to 10 miles.
Yeah.
So it was all dirt roads back then, or pig trails.
Right, exactly. So, but no, I tell you what, it was awesome. It was a few hours. Well, of course, we saw a bunch of our friends there.
Yeah.
From Lincoln Roan to Ann Mitterling. We met a couple new people.
Perry Wood was there.
Perry Wood was there. We met the new liaison for the DNR.
Yep. The habitat, or not habitat, the
health
biologist. She's working in the TB zone, going to help kind of get that communication going between the DNR.
And the public,
the cattlemen, and the deer hunters.
Yeah, and
trying to come up with solutions.
Right now, she's working in the TB area, but she's actually for the state of Michigan.
Right.
So she's obviously she was in the TB area, so that's what she'll concentrate, and then she'll concentrate on CWD. She's the liaison to bring it all together, and one person's going to talk to the other person, and
the DNR CWD specialist, a biologist, Kelly Struck, was there.
Yep.
I got to meet her. Like I said, Perry Wood was there. Of course, Wayne and Luke Sitton, thank you for inviting us up to camp to be a part of that. Dr. Deer, Dr. James Kroll, got to see him and talk with him. And actually, we interviewed him kind of on the fly as they were cutting deer up and things. So
it was kind of neat to interview him as he worked.
Yeah, so we got some photos that we're going to roll through tonight.
And just so you know that these photos were taken during the health check.
So, disclaimer right now.
Yes.
For people on the podcast, you're not going to be able to see them. You have to go to the live stream. But for everybody on the live stream, if you've got anybody that's got a squeamish stomach, or if you've got young kids and you don't want them seeing blood, guts, and gore, I make sure that you have them tune away, because what we're going to show you is inside a deer. We're going to show you deer fetuses. We're going to show you
inside, outside, everything of a
the
deer.
whole 9 yards. Show you how, on the fetus, the little buck parts, the whole 9 yards. So, if you're squeamish, don't look. If you got little ones there and you're worried about them seeing something, just to do quick disclaimer, you might want to look away. So
right.
But
it was neat. It was really cool. There's about 35 people there when we got there.
Right.
Throughout the day, they gave us a great lunch.
Yep.
And it was nice that he took the time at different moments, and it wasn't any specific moment. It was just as he was going through it, he found something. Hey guys, hey, whoa, everybody gather around.
Yep.
Teaching moment, and then he would explain whatever he was looking at, or what he was seeing or wasn't seeing.
Right. And I've talked about this on the show before. This was my 4th time Actually, my third time being on location, I watched one online. The very first one that I saw was online, and then the next 2 years I went. It's been a couple of years since I've been up there.
And this was their actual 15th
Yep.
one that they've done.
Yep.
Your fourth, like you said, my first, and in a new building.
Right. Yeah. New facility, beautiful facility. Heat, yes. Heat. That was a nice thing. That was a lovely thing to have heat.
Right.
But the picture you're seeing here right now, this is where they bring them into the back door of the shop, and they're weighing them. You can see the kind of the edge of a front loader there. They got up in the air with a scale. You can see the little red thing above the deer there. That's the actual digital scale.
It's kind of becoming a game for everybody as they're weighing them, what they were.
Yeah, they guessed what it was.
And just so everybody knew, what they did was they had sharpshooters, people that were picked to go out
Handpicked.
and go do the shooting.
Yes.
So they were out with snowmobiles, vehicles, out on the property, shooting. Basically, they were neck shots.
Yep.
And then they would put them in the truck, and then they would bring them right to this spot here, and then this is the first station, the weigh station.
Yeah, and these deer that were taken off special permits. They're
oh yeah, that's one thing. The DNR was there watching, tagging, who shot it, weight, age. They wrote everything down on
the area it came from. You know, they were targeting certain areas on the property that they want these deer to come from. But these are basically disease permits that they obtained, and which allowed them to shoot deer in February here in Michigan.
Right. So they sent the sharpshooters out. And they had to be on a list of names, so not just anybody could willy-nilly go out and shoot. And they started when we got there was already 2 in, but then soon after we got there, they started rolling in. And as you can see with the picture on the screen here, that they started weighing them. And that was kind of fun.
Because they were people guessed.
Yeah, it was kind of fun, guessing, and because they weighed them fully intact.
Yes. You know, they've had the air let out of them. They brought them in, put them on the scale before the guts came out of them. It's basically dead weight, live weight. They're not field dressed. Average weight was probably 140 to 150.
Yeah, we had a couple 160s.
Yeah.
And we had on the light side, too. So they're going for different across the age structure as well.
Right, and we've talked about that here on the show. And actually, the interview we did with Dr. James Kroll, it was video. So we're going to put that together and put that out at a later time. But it basically goes through and explains a lot of things that we've talked about over the years here about choosing the right deer to shoot, whether they're bucks or does, age class. And why. Yeah, and he goes through all that. So,
and he even touches the subject of disease.
Yes, he does.
So, but that is
you may or may not agree with it,
but that was a great interview. That kind of surprised us how we ran the interview, but
yeah,
we adapted and did well.
Right.
So then after they weighed them, they brought them in. This is cool. They had their own little gutting table station, which was really cool because that's when Wayne was doing the kind of the main gutting, and then they had some DNR guys helping out, doing other aspects from blood samples to pulling a gland to opening them up.
Yeah, and when they had them there on the table, as you can see in the photo there, we're seeing the butt end, obviously. On the head end, they would take and they would cut the deer's right front leg off.
Yes.
And they would take a sample of bone marrow out.
And what they're doing there is they're looking to see how the deer is at this point in time.
If it's stressed.
If it's stressed or not.
Yeah, and if you've got, he explained that if the marrow is not white, that if it's kind of pink and runny and a little bit bloody, that the deer is stressed. It's having some trouble getting through the winter.
Yep.
Another leading indicator is kidney fat. They do a kidney fat index. The fat stores around the kidney area, and if there's a good amount of fat, they're doing really well, and if there's not, then they're in trouble. So
right, and I don't know if you got a picture of that, but you'll see as we talk. There's an interesting fact that happened during this whole day. That was kind of interesting, but there you go. In this picture, you got Wayne. Wayne would just go ahead and. Now I know what you use a pair of loppers for.
Yeah, you break the pelvic cavity open.
Right.
And once they had them up there on the table, they after they got done opening them up, they get a blood sample real quick, and like I said, do that bone marrow check. They'd cut the front head off, send it over to another table.
Yep, table over in the corner. They were doing the TB check.
Yep, and we'll show you a photo of that here later. But then they would take and they would tie off the esophagus. Wayne was on the back end. He was cutting the butt area out for the colon area, and they would grab the esophagus and the colon, pull them up together and hold them. And one guy would cut all the connective tissue out from front to back, and they would pick the whole gut pile up, which you can see here in this photo, and they would take it over to they'd slide it right down the table. They'd just slide it out of the deer onto the table.
Yep, and they would then start to
dissect
it, right. And as you can see in the picture here, in the main part of the picture is the guts and everything, but on the lower side is the
uterus. Yep, and that's where they'd take the fetuses out. They would take the ovaries, remove the ovaries, and they would check those. There's a way they can check them to see how many times that she's been bred.
Yep.
It would leave a little scar on the ovary, and they would take those and keep those to test later on. What they did with them once they got back to the lab, I don't know.
Well, they said they were going to take the ovaries, they were going to freeze them. Well, they're going to send them back to the lab, and then they were going to do that slicing thing. They were going to slice them, put them under a microscope.
Yep.
They're going to do a little bit more tests with the blood, and some of the things they had to take it back to the lab.
Yeah, and you can see some of like the tissue there on top. He called it the mezzanine fat.
Yes,
around the gut sac.
That was really cool that they were watching Shasta, who was taking all the information down at the computer. As they were starting the process, each person had something they were checking, and like Wayne would call out like the fat. Is it good? Is it low? Is it
medium?
And that was one of the dead giveaways of being a healthy, was that fatty tissue was more around in that membrane.
Right.
So that was kind of cool.
Yep. So it kind of going down the line here. We'll just keep popping some pictures up here. One good thing you talked about the teaching moments, and I want to cover this, and then we'll go to our first break. But
this was cool.
He talked about the stomach, the 4-chamber stomach. It's got the rumen, the mesum, the omasum, the abomasum, and I can't remember what was the reticulum.
Yes.
It was the rumen, the reticulum, the omasum, and the abomasum.
And they went and got a stomach from one of the deer.
This is the inside.
They cleaned it out, and then he flipped it inside out, and then he proceeded to explain what each chamber did, and why the deer, how they ingest food, then they go sit and they rechew food, and it just how it all worked, and that was really cool. And he took some time to explain all that and explain what happens when they get
acidosis.
Yes, and I think CWD was another one. Was it CWD or was it
EHD?
Yes, EHD.
What was interesting, and I'm just going to give you a tease on this. He talked about them eating too much of the wrong thing at the
wrong time.
At the wrong time of the year, and what it can do to your deer herd.
Yes.
And that's I'm not going to give it away because I want you guys to come back and watch the video later on when we post that. It was really interesting of listening to the information he had on that. So, but I tell you what we're going to do right now is we're going to step outside and take our first break, and we will continue this conversation when we come back.
All right, let's do it.
And if you guys on the live stream, get your questions ready. Post your questions. All right, folks on the live stream, we will continue here in just one moment. Hey, Luke. Luke's watching. Luke's sitting, who was gracious enough to have us up. And Logan Remain, hey, bud, what's going on, man? Haven't seen you in a while. We got to go out and get a burger or something sometime. All right, let me save this off. It's just, even though this is my 4th time there, I learned so much. I still learn new things.
I think it's just amazing. I don't know. It is amazing.
And obviously, what we're talking about tonight, we're not even scratching the surface of.
Oh no, it was just kind of recapping what we what we stood through yesterday, and listening to Wayne and Dr. Deere go through this stuff, and knowing that Wayne's put in Obviously, Dr. Deer's put in a lot of time. Wayne's put in a lot of time.
Right.
And you can see when they do this stuff that he cares.
Absolutely.
He cares, and Dr. Deer gave him credit. He goes, he's one of the very few managers that will follow everything to a T.
Right. Yep.
So it's just, it's really good to see.
Okay, second segment. Here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show. Where do we want to start with this segment?
Yeah, right. What's the next picture?
Let me go down and find out, see where we were at here. Okay, so as we worked our way down the table, one thing they were checking was the liver. And as you can see in the photo, there in the lower left-hand corner, he would slice the liver up.
Every half inch.
Every half inch, because he said once you get done, it's just the right size for breading and throwing in the frying pan if there's no liver flukes in it. I don't eat liver, and the flukes is another reason why I won't eat it. And he's holding a liver fluke right there in his hand. You can see it right there on his hand.
Right, exactly. And I tell you what, it was funny the way he put it after he said, some people just eat the liver and yeah, it's just part of the liver.
Right.
But it's actually a living thing, right?
It is.
It lives in the liver, and
it's caused from deer eating in swampy areas. It's a snail. Am I right in saying that?
I do believe it was eating too many snails, yes.
Yeah, and there's a parasite that comes through that, and it winds up in the liver.
Right, exactly. And it lives in the liver.
Yeah. And it doesn't really do any tremendous harm to the deer.
And they can
get rid of them.
I guess get rid of them and grow out of them.
Yeah,
I guess is a way to say it, and it was really cool.
So, if you guys are eating deer liver, and you see one of these things, it's not part of the liver.
Right.
It is a parasite.
Yes.
So,
Tim CS has got a question. Was the workshop for anyone, and was there a cost to attend?
The workshop was actually by invite only.
Yep. Because it was held on a private club. It was an invited items only.
And there was no charge.
But because this club's been doing it for the 15th year, they hired Dr. Deer to come and do their thing. It was just that we were invited.
Yes. Being that we're one of the clubs that were around the area and doing the podcast and doing the live stream, we're trying to help get the education part of deer management out.
Yes, and that's we talked about that at length there. Shout out to Anna Mitterling. Mm-hmm. She was like a kid at Christmas, seeing all her co-op friends there.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
but and like you said here, getting the word out about the health of deer.
That's the important thing, and that's how we change. That's how we change our deer herd. That's how we make it better, is by getting this information out. And in the video that the interview we did with Dr. Deer, that's what he talked about.
Exactly.
I mean, that was the part in the end. It's getting information, it's sharing information, it's sharing the data. Yep. So people understand there's ways we can hurt our deer, there's ways we can help our deer, and make it better for everybody. So
it's just education.
Yeah, a lot of people just simply don't know. The one thing you do see there in this photo is the young lady there to the right is measuring a fetus that was pulled out of.
Now, this is a cool factor.
Okay, now, guys and gals, we talked about the pictures. Here we go. We're going to put up a picture of a fetus that was pulled out and laying on the table, and plus one that's being measured. So,
right,
exactly. It is what it is.
It is. And here's a cool thing about science and what Dr. Deer they've done is they've developed a scale that you see in the bottom where she's got her hands. She's putting the fetus on a scale, and she's measuring that scale. Mm-hmm. And
she's measuring the fetus.
Well, she's measuring the fetus on the scale, right? Look, I'm so excited.
I understand.
But then whatever it measures out to be, 65, 89, 90...
That number correlates to a day.
They walk backwards, and then he can tell you the day that deer was bred with this fetus.
Yeah, there's a formula on the back of it, and he kind of explains that at some point during the day. But basically what they're doing is this gives you an indication of the deer that they bring in, the does they bring in, is, okay, we're measuring all these fetuses, and we know within 24 hours of when conception was. So at that point, you can see how tight the rut is.
Now, this was another factor is if it was carrying two, they could be bred at different times.
Absolutely. Yeah. You'll see one that measures one day and one measures another day, or maybe another day.
Right, and that was cool because it was one of these that was like at 90 and like 86. There was like a 3 or 4 day difference, and that correlated back to like November 11th and like the 16th. You know, it was just like, wow, that's really cool.
So when your buck breeds a doe, it's not always you wind up with 2 fawns. It's not always the same buck.
Right, exactly.
You know, and that was something I never knew, and I heard that, I believe, the last time I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that was like, wow, you know, say what?
Right.
You know, but that's what the science is telling us, man. That's the cool part about this. But going back to the rut, what they're doing is they're measuring these fetuses and trying to determine how tight that rut is. And we've talked about this on the show. They call it a trickle rut. I call it second, third rut. When your bucks don't breed all the does, when your buck to doe ratio is out of whack.
Yep.
And if you're getting, does being bred on that second go round, that third go round, when you're having late fawns, you're still seeing fawns with spots later on, getting towards season. It starts changing the dynamics, and we've talked a lot about that on this show.
Right, exactly.
But he's showing it here. This is the proof in the pudding. So
so now he's gone through the guts, looking at the livers, looking at the fetus, determining male, female, size, breeding. Here's a little buck fetus that was there when it was bred. They were looking at, like you said, the kidney fat. Mm-hmm. That was another call out that they were checking, and they were slicing these up pretty good, looking at all the different aspects from A to Z.
That's one thing I didn't put in. I didn't get a picture of the kidney fat index when they were doing the kidneys.
Okay.
So we got one. I just didn't get time to get it put in.
Right, exactly. So, but that was cool too, because they were bringing in does, and pretty much all of them were on the healthy side.
Yes.
They did bring in one buck.
Yep.
And that was from a different...
It was a different club.
They brought one buck in, and it started right off the bat when they checked the leg, and it was stressed.
It was stressed. Okay, so let's go back. Let's talk about that rut, that tightening the rut up. And we've talked about this numerous times, and you've heard me say it, but here is proof in the pudding. When you get what they call the trickle rut, I call second, third rut, when it extends over a period of time, and you've got breeder bucks that are chasing does, and they're chasing them for that second, that third time. They don't get time to recoup. They're burning body fat. They're burning energy. All they're doing is chasing does and breeding. That's their thing.
That's their thing. And it was a 2.5-year-old deer, a young deer.
Yeah.
And it proved out just about everything that he said from looking at the leg for the
bone
marrow to
the kidney fat. Yeah, it had very little fat.
And he said he stopped everybody. Said, "Hold on, here, look, guys.
What have we learned today?"
Yep, and
go right back to it.
Most of the does were coming in. It was almost like looking at a white softball around a kidney.
Yeah.
And then when he pulled up the buck's kidneys, it was like shriveled up.
Mm-hmm. It
was starting to wear down, and that was the buck. And he said most likely the buck would have made it.
Mm-hmm.
It still had enough fat, but it was stressed.
Yeah.
So, and here we are, almost the middle of February.
Right, and we've had a mild winter. Now, here's the other thing to think about, too. And he said most bucks, when they get stressed like this in a bad winter, they will wind up getting pneumonia.
Right, and they did have one that had pneumonia.
They had one doe come in that had pneumonia, and I wish I'd have got a picture. I couldn't get a good, clear picture quick enough to show that, but that was very eye-opening to see that. And
the one, I think what they're doing here in this picture that's on the screen is they're looking for the gland.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. We put that up and we completely skipped by it. This is when they took the head off of the doe. They took it over to another DNR official, biologist, and she was cutting them, working on the heads, looking at the lymph nodes and looking for TB, signs of TB.
Right.
And if it looked like, if it was suspect, if it showed any indications of having any infection, whether they wouldn't say it had or didn't have, they'd just take it and it would be sent to the lab.
Right, exactly.
And be checked. And they grow a culture.
To verify.
Yep, to verify it. Either yes or no.
But they are also, and I can't remember the name of the gland that they were pulling out of the deer.
Here?
The growth gland.
Oh, the thalamus. Was it the thalamus or the hypothalamus?
Thymus?
Or the thymus?
Gabby, you remember?
Thymus, I thought it was what
Thymus.
Okay.
Okay. And that was an interesting thing he said, because he pulled it out of the buck and they showed it. He goes, "We should not be able to find this.
Right.
It should be, we shouldn't be able to find it, but because this buck is stressed, it's enlarged. We can find it."
Right. So. But yeah, here, this was on right down below the ear is where one of the lymph nodes they check. Then they turn the head over, and they check underneath the jaw area. There's several there that they check as well. So, just another way that they're checking for TB or infection. And speaking of that, I want to go somewhere kind of off site here for just a second, because I started talking to this lady about TB, and if you remember, we had a case here in southern Michigan, in Oakland County, and this deer, they showed pictures of this thing it was infected. It was nasty.
It looked very, very TB.
Yeah, and this report came out from the DNR, a press release saying that it was suspect. Well, the media just ran with it, and I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh. We talked about it on the show, if I remember right.
Just south of us, right?
Right. Well, I asked her, I said, what about the deer from Oakland County? And she said that deer did not have TB.
It was not TB.
It had something else.
She confirmed that it was not TB.
It come back negative for TB, and I said, so did they put out a press release to tell everybody? She said no. She said, and that's something that we have to address, is getting the word out and making sure that it gets back into the media, because as much as I'm involved in the media every day, I haven't heard about this, and
there was no follow-up to that whatsoever.
So people still think it is, but it's not true. That deer didn't have it.
It was a very, 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 very bad infection.
Yes.
But it was not TB.
Right. So,
which that was kind of, talking to that lady there, we talked about a couple other situations that, again, came back to the DNR needs to work better in communications.
Absolutely. So that picture there of me that's talking with Dr. Kroll.
Dr. Deer himself.
Yeah, Dr. James Kroll, right there at the table he was doing necropsies, and I was talking.
Right. It was kind of relaxing for him to actually work and be interviewed at one time.
It was a great day. Good information. Not just good. It was great information. Being able to see actual biological work going on the ground, hands-on with our DNR as well, hand in hand, working and studying deer and learning, and sharing this information with the public. I can't thank everybody enough that made this possible. So, but I tell you what, we're going to step outside right now. We're bumping up here on our second break, and when we come back, do we want to bring our guest in here the next
Absolutely.
segment? All right. So we got a special guest here in studio. So we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this. Everybody on the live stream, hang on. Get your questions in if you got any. Hey, Michael Ryder. Hey, Brian Thayer. Thanks for chiming in. All right. Miss Gabby, go ahead and come on over. Just watch the cables there as you walk around. Go ahead and grab a seat. See, I thought you brought this seat for me for my coffee to sit on, but I guess not. So,
for our special guest.
All right.
Pretty fun if I just fell.
What fell?
It'd be pretty fun if I just fell.
Don't fall. No, don't fall.
You would be live on camera, so...
That's right. Okay. And being live on camera, please do remember, this is a show that is geared towards family, friends, and children, okay?
All right.
We have to remind people of that, so...
Are we back to what? Oh, we're back to the 3-shot? Okay.
Yes, we are. We're back to the 3-shot.
Just watching the live feed, making sure that we're there.
Oh, we're there, dude. We haven't went anywhere. We're good to go. We are good to go. All right. Here we go. Stand by. And 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. Third segment of the show. I almost said second. I can't count. I'm tired.
3. You are tired. Well, I'm going to not blame you, because the last 3 days we've been
on the go.
Snow.
Right. And driving early in the morning and late at night as well. So.
Right. But
welcome to the show, Gabby.
Thanks, guys.
No, Gabby's here.
Yeah.
Everybody welcome Gabby to the show.
That's right.
First time on the show.
Yeah.
So she might be a little nervous.
Just a little.
Just a little? All right. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. But you know what? She's actually just picked up bow hunting the last couple years.
Okay.
and so she's never ever seen the insides of a deer.
Okay.
Obviously, she's seen the outsides because we sit on the back porch and watch.
Yeah.
But
We've all seen the outside of deer.
right, exactly. So, but how many times can you go see what we saw?
Right.
So, Gabby and Kelly came up with us and got to watch this whole presentation, I guess. The whole health check.
Right.
And was it cool or what?
Oh, I never thought I would be able to get a chance to experience anything like this, honestly.
It was cool. Now, little side note is that Gabby is also a paramedic.
So she's seen the insides of people.
Right. So now she wants to see an inside of a deer. So.
Right.
Yeah, a little different, but not much, you know, but still absolutely amazing. Never, like, just the way the whole process worked when they did it. I just thought we were going to sit there and observe and just kind of just see it, but for him to actually, like, explain everything and, like...
Gather around the table and
seriously.
Actually, he walked around a couple of times.
Yeah, William just passing out information left and right. Never really
and deer
thought.
parts.
In deer parts, right? One cool thing was the parasite
Yeah.
on the liver that was
the liver
housed on
fluke?
the liver. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of cool. It was waiting, and he said that was because of
Snails.
Yeah, and then if a predator eats it, they get it.
Oh, you're talking about the tapeworm.
Yeah.
Tapeworm. That's
Tapeworm cyst,
Yeah, a
yes.
little different.
Yeah. So,
What do you think of that?
Oh, God, I never thought I'd see one,
It was moving around.
Yeah, I never thought I'd actually get a chance to see one live. You know, you always see them in, like, you know, class and jars and everything, but not straight out of live, like a deer coming like that.
Right, exactly. And I'm sorry I didn't have enough time when I was gutting Kelly's deer to show her maybe all this stuff, but I was not in the mood to have science class.
Right out in the,
Out in the
forest.
field?
Out in the field, but when it's getting dark and you're losing light quickly. So,
Absolutely.
but what out of all that, start when you got there. What was like the cool factor for you? What was the coolest part?
Well, one, never seen that before, ever. Was like just cool in general. And then when we get there, you know, you walk in, you see like this table laid out. You're like, oh, what is this? And then, you know, you get a chance to actually, they bring in a deer and you're watching everything happen and you're like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Just to see the process in general, and like, I don't know, I enjoyed all the blood and guts anyways. So for that just to happen right out in front of me for the first time ever, and, you know, being walked through the process and being walked through all the information that I had never heard before in my life, and hearing practically just all the ins and outs that have to happen in order to, you know, get a successful deer.
right.
That's like the cool part.
You know, looking at it that whole day, I mean, the cool factor and all that. What's, let's say, you're out in the field this year, you get your first deer. What do you think is going to come back into your mind that you're going to remember from yesterday?
And no, I'm not gonna gut it for you. So let's just get over that right now.
Well, I mean, kind of learning basically how to gut a deer, you know, never seen that ever before, and, you know, seeing just like, I mean, they were shooting them out left and right, and, you know, kind of pick up some techniques
Right.
on that, and I guess, I mean, that was pretty much it, and just, you know, learning all about the different ins and outs of the deer
Right.
itself
Okay.
was like the coolest part, and something I'll take away from it for sure.
And what not to cut.
Yeah, what not
right,
to cut.
right.
And he managed every time not to do it unless he did it purposely.
Yeah, you know, that's the one thing. All the deer that came through, it didn't stink in there. It didn't.
No.
You know, it didn't. You can smell deer. Okay, you know.
You could smell that wonderful the inside scent.
but it wasn't like gut sack.
No,
No.
absolutely no. It was not
It was
that.
just
But
that
then
warm inside smell.
The warm yeah. But then they would open the door to bring, and it would like refresh the air.
Yeah.
So it's like no big deal.
Right.
So, you know, and then Dave Cadman here is actually saying hopefully someone was passing out back straps.
I wish.
You know, that was that was mentioned as somebody asked the one guy, he goes, while you're cutting everything out, you want to just cut the back straps?
Right. But actually, these deer are donated. They're donated to the food pantries in the area. I mean,
Yep.
they have already donated 2,500 pounds this year from camp, and that's where these were going to go as well. So, nothing goes to waste. It doesn't go to waste. It's a lot of the parts they were collecting things and they take back to the lab to use later, but the meat actually would go and it would help people who are less fortunate. So
right, exactly.
So it was a win-win-win the whole way around.
Yeah, it was educational. It was giving meat to the needy, and it was very cool. One question Gabby did have that was I didn't know, so we had to ask the expert. Was after the deer is shot, how long do the fetuses live?
Okay.
And I said, well, let's go ask Dr. Deer because I have no idea. And we caught him when he was sitting down. And so what did he say when we asked him that?
He said, it all depends on how far along the fetus is, but it normally doesn't last too long, obviously, because once blood supply is kind of cut off, it kind of doesn't have much to live off of.
Right.
But yeah, it kind of really depended on how far developed they were.
Okay.
But it wouldn't take long after.
And in this instance, what we were dealing with, he said it was just a
quick.
couple minutes.
Yeah.
By the time they typically get him back, it's over. He said out of the thousands that he's done, maybe one or two. But obviously, as the fetuses get older and bigger, then they would live longer.
Right.
But right now, they're not living but a minute or two.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's good to know.
Well, it was it kind of was.
Just one of those things you don't think about all the time.
Yeah, and they started throwing the fetuses up, and I'm like, and then she asked it, and I'm like, that's a good question.
Well, you come over and you ask me, and like, well, I looked at you, and I'm like, I don't know. I said, go ask him.
Ask the expert.
Yeah, ask the expert. Ask the man who knows. So, and that's what that was good about that whole day was the fact that you could take and ask just about any question, and he had an answer for you. I mean, this guy's done thousands of these things. Thousands.
Yeah, you could just tell based on how he was talking, all the information he had. It was insane how much he knew.
Yep.
Like you said, he's probably forgotten
more than I'll ever know.
Right.
Yeah. So.
No, that was just awesome, and so glad that we could take you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
And see that, because it's not every day you get to have it put out in an assembly line fashion for you.
No.
And explained, and have somebody willing to sit there and take the time to explain it.
And I think that's, like I said, in the interview I did with him, he explained it at the end, that's where everything's kind of trending now, and it's turning, is the fact, back in the day, you had your professors that study things, or biologists that study things, and then if you got lucky enough to be able to talk to one, they would talk in a way you really didn't understand what they were saying. And he's talking now. He said, this is what we need to do. We need to be able to take the information that we're getting and the things we're studying and pass that information along to the general public and the people that are out there in the woods, so they can be better informed of how to manage their deer herd in their habitat.
And I think with Gabby and Kelly here, it's kind of more of when we're out in the woods, it's more of an educational thing than just sit here and shoot.
Right.
Absolutely, because from an outside perspective and never really being in this, I mean, that's all I knew was you see a deer and you shoot it, and not all the things building up on how to get that deer there and how to get a healthy deer in front of you type aspect. So now I took that away from that, and it's pretty cool to see that. And
that's kind of how it's actually changing like that. And I know you and I are more into the educational part, which that's happening. But yeah, it's like when we go out, it's more of a teaching thing that we do than. Sure, I wanted to shoot one.
Right.
But
how did you set up? How did you get there? Why is the deer doing that? Why is the deer eating that? Why is he eating that and not that?
Right. Exactly. And that's a whole other issue with what they're eating and why they're eating it and when they eat it.
Why is he acting that way? Or why is she acting that way? Why do we not have enough young buck fawns around? Why are we seeing less buck fawns? And we're seeing more doe fawns.
Right.
Well, there's a reason for that, and now we know the answers. So, why do we have so many buck fawns around? More buck fawns than doe fawns. There's a reason in the way things work in nature.
Exactly.
And if we can help guide that to get it to the way it's supposed to be, naturally, because if not, Mother Nature's going to take care of it herself.
Mother Nature has a cruel way of doing it.
Yeah. So why not do the best we can do for what our animals need?
And I think this part of the education is teaching about it. It's almost kind of like people and Dr. Deere said it. We're going to have to live with the disease.
Yeah.
We're not going to get rid of it.
Right.
Whether it be TB, CWD, EHD, pick one.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to get rid of it.
Manage it.
We're going to have to manage it.
Yeah,
And
manage your way around
This
it.
is the best way to manage it,
Yep.
he thinks. And he's, like a lot of things he did say. And if you remember that he said, if he said something, he's, and we got the scientific data to back that up. Mm-hmm. We got the scientific data to back that up.
Right. Yeah. Because some of the things are controversial.
You think?
Some of the things, and at one point during the interview, when I kind of got done, is like, well, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? And he's like, well, he says, do you want to ask the loaded question?
Right. Which I thought it was kind of funny because I shut off the record and I'm listening to you guys talking. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is going to go somewhere.
Yeah. And then he, and I kind of looked at him. I go, which is? And he goes, CWD. I said, do you want to go there? He goes, yeah, let's go there. I said, okay, let's go there. And we started talking about it. So, because it affects all of us here in this state right now. It affects people around the Lansing area a whole lot more than it affects you and me.
That's right.
The people that hunt there. But
Anna Middling, right?
Exactly. Yeah, she's in the core area. So, those people have a deeply vested interest. We've got a vested interest, but they've got. I mean, it's in their back door.
Yeah, it is.
So, everybody's got an idea. Well, it's either this or it's that. We need to do this or we need to do that. Well, wait a minute. You want to come in and do what? And it's kind of everywhere right now, and everybody's waiting for that magic bullet, so to speak, to fix it. And
there is none.
Yeah,
they don't know.
So how do we work with that? And he kind of explained some of that.
He did. He explained it, and then
you may or may not agree with it.
Right, and then we're here doing at this health check, and what happens? But a representative shows up.
I want to save that for last second.
Well, no, I'm just teasing because
all right.
Lincoln Roan, who was there from Let 'Em Go, Let 'Em Grow, he was just in awe as well. He was running around with his phone live streaming,
everything.
Yeah. But then he walks over and says, "Hey, I have a representative here," and is like, here we are. Right. We're all learning. He wanted to learn too.
Absolutely, it's the first time he'd been there.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got a guy from the 105th district, Tristan Kroll, coming to a health check, learning, who actually is back in Lansing.
Right. So
that was cool. And then, before we got to him, we had a great lunch.
Yeah.
She liked the chili.
Chili was good.
Yeah.
I liked the clam chowder.
Clam chowder was good. It was all good. The whole day was good.
It was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to step outside. We're going to take our last break. We come back. We'll kind of wrap things up a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about meeting state rep, Tristan Kroll, and talk about when we stopped over at our property and checked on our logging project.
Yep.
So we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
You want to stick around and talk about Tristan Kroll? Kind of cool factor?
Cool factor. That's
Did you know that there was a Michigan Sportsman's Caucus?
No, I didn't.
Like 3 of us. 4 of us.
Right.
All right, stick around. Oh, you
Get your questions in, everybody.
You can also throw your 2 cents in about the logging project.
Oh,
that's right. You didn't see the property one. You saw the one up north at our property.
She saw it in July. Well, July.
Oh, that's right. You did.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
all right.
you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Stand by 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Last segment of the show. 4:51, almost in the books.
Yes.
Before we get to the end of the show, talk about our contest.
Oh, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching us on Facebook. You better be liking and sharing us because we're running a contest. It started last week, but we're only talking about it here on the live show. And
You're hearing it on the podcast, but you have to come to the live show to enter.
Exactly. So what you need to do is you need to come back here to the live show, which you're watching, or you're listening to the podcast, come to the live show. You need to do the usual stuff. Like our page. Obviously go like Carbon Express because we're going to be giving away a half dozen of Carbon Express arrows. And we're going to be giving away a shirt and hat. And to do that, you need to tag 3 friends in there as well.
And you got to like the live stream. the live stream portion here, they'll be recorded and saved on our page, our Facebook page.
And we'll do that twice. It'll be saved now as you see it, and then I'll re-release it on Wednesday in YouTube. YouTube.
Yeah, but you'll post that on Facebook as well.
Yep.
And you can enter there as well. So
Absolutely. So we got a contest running. We're kind of, it's live stream only.
that's right. And this will be the last week that we're running. So are we going to announce next week who it is?
Probably.
Okay, on the show?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking, just making sure.
Yep. We'll find a winner. We already got some people entered.
Yep.
So we will have a winner.
That's right. So get out there and like it and share it.
It might not be a chicken dinner, but we're going to have a winner.
Winner. All right. Kind of getting back to what happened yesterday. Danny comes over to me. I just got done entering, talking about the contest, got me thinking entering. I just got done interviewing Dr. James Kroll. So I'm feeling pretty good. It's like, man, I got to talk to Dr. Kroll and all that, and putting the camera gear away, and you come up to me and go, hey, do you want to do an interview with Michigan rep? And I go, a rep for what? You go, Michigan. I go, well, what is he rep for in Michigan? Thinking, we're in the outdoor industry. When you say the word rep, it has a whole different connotation,
right?
For us. I'm like, well, what company is he repping for? Because I work with OSMG, we rep for Vortex,
right?
So I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I hope it's not a conflict of interest.
It took me a minute to figure out why you were so lost.
Yeah, and you just kept looking at me like, you idiot, and I'm looking at you like, well, why aren't you telling me who he reps for? And then you finally said, state of Michigan, like the government, and I'm like, oh, like a congressman? Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I was like, right over my head. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, we got to meet Tristan Cole, 105th state rep, which
is the
up in the area of the APRs.
Yes, Northwest 12, in that area.
Up in that general area, and he is on the Sportsman's Caucus for the state of Michigan. And I didn't know there was a Sportsman's Caucus, and he sits on that. He's a chairman.
He's the co-chair.
Co-chair, and in the House of Reps, there's a co-chair from the Republicans and one from the Democrats.
Yep.
And then there's a co-chair from the Senate for the Republicans and the Democrats. So there's 4 people that sit on the caucus for the state, or for the sportsmen of Michigan.
Right, and he went on to explain. And Gabby, was that not cool that all of a sudden, out of all these people, here we are sitting down talking with a rep?
Yeah, it was one of the interviews I didn't expect to happen today.
Yeah, I had no clue.
Yeah, we had no clue. But what they're doing is they have the Michigan Sportsman's Caucus, and the lady that is chair basically has the purse strings of the DNR, which is a cool thing. And so what they've come to understand that we've got some issues with what's going on in the state of Michigan.
TB, CWD, hunter recruitment,
which is going down.
Yep. Deer population numbers and deer management.
Yep.
And amongst other things, and we're just talking about, that's just deer. There's fish, there's camping, hunting, there's public lands,
and
forestry.
90% of the funds
come from hunter licenses.
Yep.
Hunter and fishermen's. When you go and buy your hunting and fishing license, 90% of the money for the DNR's budget comes from that.
Right. So then we sat down, we did a great interview with him, and we'll release that a little bit later. But why he was there also was Lincoln Roan invited him as well, and Lincoln Roan sat down with him, and I think Lincoln Roan is starting to learn after last year's events. He's learning the legislative people to go talk to.
Right.
And basically, you got to listen to this interview, which was a great interview. But I want to tell you right now, people, he even said, please send us an email.
Yep.
We do read them all. And we do want to hear whether it be a good experience, a bad experience, of something about the outdoors that you want to tell them. They will listen. So an email does work,
whether it's good or bad.
Right.
If you had success, send them a picture of your kid and you and the deer that your kid shot or you shot, or the fish you caught, camping on state land somewhere, wading a stream, whatever.
And then again, listen to the interview, because Tristan, his background is just not, hey, I'm Joe Politic.
No, he didn't start out there.
Nope. He started off with his dad, and then he got a job at the sanctuary being a guide, and then he's been in the outdoors. He now owns a farm, and so he's not just a career person.
No, he's not a career politician by any stretch of the imagination. He puts his hunting boots on one at a time, just like we do. So
right, exactly.
He's got a vested interest. And what the biggest thing I got out of the interview from him was, okay, he's on a conservative, but he's reaching downstate. Don't take that the wrong way. He's reaching downstate to the inner cities and getting a hold of representatives in that area and bringing them up north for outdoor experiences and showing them this is what Michigan has to offer. This is why we care so much about this. This is why we're so passionate, and we want this to be a playground for everybody to enjoy. It's a treasure for us.
He made one of the best comments was, you hear everybody wants to go to Ohio to hunt. He wants to hear, I want to go to Michigan to hunt.
Exactly. Why not? Right. We've talked about that I don't know how many times on this show. People are leaving to go other places to hunt. If we get them back here, it's going to bring revenue in. Well, revenue is going to make people want to buy land here. It's going to raise our tax base up because land's going to be more valuable when it's a commodity that people want. Right. Tax base means these other little towns and villages finally get some money infused back into them to put infrastructure in or help our school systems, or other projects that are needed in these communities. So
exactly,
it's a win-win-win, So
and just like the experiences with Kelly and Gabby, we go out, we have the experience, and so they have something to remember whatever we did by. Mm-hmm. Just like he's doing with those people, from whether it be from Jackson, Detroit, wherever. He grabs whatever he does with them, takes them out. Mm-hmm. I guess he's going to be crawling in a bear den next month or something like that.
Yeah, I'd like to go.
Well, yeah, me too.
Take me.
Right? So, and I think that's great, Kelly and Gabby being in their early 20s, seeing that the representatives are out there and care.
Absolutely. I've never, to hear a state representative come in and talk to you guys like that, and just seeing the passion in the conversation was something I never thought, you just don't see. So to see that was pretty cool and just super exciting.
It is, and for people of your age, I wish I could have experienced something like that when I was that age. Back when I was in my 20s, I was getting out of college. I was getting back into the woods with my dad. But it was, you go out and sit in the snow, shoot a deer, bring it home, throw it in the freezer. It was just there. I don't want to say it was mundane, and I don't want to take away from those experiences, but it wasn't. I wish it was more robust and like what we do now with our families.
It's gotten to be so much more than that.
Yeah, it goes a lot deeper.
It's like when Kelly went in October, it wasn't just we went up there, got out there, shot a deer, that was it. It was there more to it.
Right.
When we take Gabby with us and she goes out there, there's more to it.
Yep. And I don't want, like I said, I don't want to take away from my experiences when I was younger. I cherish those, but I've also realized that there's more to this outdoors than just that.
I think it's showing us that there's more. It's becoming more and more of an educational thing. It's becoming more of an event in our lives to do it. It's not just go out there and shoot. Right. There's more to it.
Yeah, it's not like going out there and get the biggest one. It's like that's awesome to get the big one, but it's just there's way more to it, and I never thought I would ever learn about that till now.
Putting meat in the freezer, shooting does, making sure that we keep our herd balanced. Doing the right things to make sure that nature is in balance. And it does its thing it's supposed to do, and the way it's supposed to be. Because, we've done a lot to screw up the outdoors over the years. And it's we're trying to fix it. So and I know everybody doesn't agree with us the way we do things sometimes, but you know what? The one thing you can't say is that we don't have a passion about it and that we don't care, because we do. It's not about, like you said, it's not about putting antlers on the wall all the time or shooting the biggest deer that's out there. It's to me, I'm trying to take care of the resources we got. So
speaking of right, exactly, and speaking of resources, we made a quick trip to your cabin to look at your logging project.
Yes, we did. We busted over there. I think that's the shortest amount of time I've actually spent on the property. So
and basically, you drove it.
Yeah, I just noticed. Okay, you answered Tim's question. I was going to say, Tim, we're going to answer that in a minute, but you took care of that.
I got it.
Yeah, we went over, checked out our latest logging project, and once again, when I drive onto the property and I know as we're coming up to it, I'm like, I wonder what it's going to look like, and you kind of like cringe a little bit, and then you look at it and go, wow, that changed. Wow, that you know, and it's a shock to the system compared to what you are used to seeing. But I got really excited because I know what it's going to do and what it's going to become.
And Gabby was the same way when she saw our property.
Oh my gosh.
You're like, what did you do?
Well, yeah, you see it for the first time. You see like all these trees. You come back and it's like, oh my god. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't see anything. But then, you know, he's telling me all about like why we log and all that stuff. And I was like, it makes a little more sense. And yeah, like you said, it gets you definitely a lot more excited to see what's going to happen. What's going to come back.
Yep. You know, and there's a lot of potential, man. It's just all the deer that were in the cut.
I was just about to say, we saw a deer. I mean, you couldn't get more excited. And the most important thing now is because of the way they cut it, you could see the deer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, they didn't leave a bunch of slash down. I mean, they cleaned up real nice. We chipped everything. Anything that was left over. You know, the area we cut was dead wood. I mean, that section of our land had a huge infestation of spruce bedworm. It come through, it wiped out all our spruce trees, our evergreens. I mean, it was a dead forest. So we did get some logs out of there that did pay some money, but most of that cut went into chips.
And one of the things that happened on our property as well is your loss.
We lost probably 50% of what we made.
Right.
Yeah. And what we made, we could have doubled that.
Yep. Exactly. And and it ended up being chips.
Yep. Yeah.
49 truckloads of chips for you.
Yeah. 49 semi-loads of chips is what we pulled out of there. You know. But as we started moving, you know, towards the west, up the property line, it did get a little better, and we know the rest of the cut that's coming on the next go-round, the logs are better. But, you know, when you've got... Here's the other thing, folks. I went to a prescribed burn seminar on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. I spent 2 days in Battle Creek, Michigan, down on Fort Custer at the Army base. Yeah, they let me out. They didn't throw me in the brig.
Oh,
but... I learned so much about prescribed fire on the ground and using it to change the landscape and bolster your habitat to get it to regenerate. And if you've got standing dead wood like what we had, a forest fire comes through there, it's going to burn everything in sight, number one. Secondly, it's going to burn so hot that it's going to sterilize the soil and nothing is going to grow. And why take that chance? Number one, it's dead wood. Why are deer going to go into that forest when there's nothing there to eat?
Right.
Do you go to a closed down restaurant and knock on the door and sit there and wait for them to feed you? Or do you go to a restaurant that's got food?
We went to the lunchbox. It had food.
It had food. It was good food.
Good food. But you're right, and that's the thing, right? So you got the initial shock. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a shock, but you see it. So probably see it in the fall. It'll start to look different.
It's gonna look it's gonna look different, all right, in the spring. but no, the areas we've already logged like 2 years ago, we're starting to see some regen already. You give it 3 to 4 years, and you're going to see a noticeable change. I took you to the north end of our property.
Yes.
And I showed you, we drove through that section that had been logged about 10, 15 years ago. You know, trees were what, 15, 20 foot tall?
Right, and it was thick.
Thick. Yeah.
And there was lots of tracks through them.
Yeah, so, you know, it's going to come back. It takes time. But now that we're in this rotation of management, once we get everything kind of done and we start this rotational.
Well, and that's what, going back to quickly referencing Dr. Deere, about their wintering food programs. They use their logging projects as their wintering food program.
Yep.
So this actually worked out in your favor to do it right now.
Absolutely.
Because we saw 25 deer.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, if not more.
Yeah.
Just standing there, just kind of cruising, while they're looking at us.
Yeah, yeah.
We were interrupting their dinner, I think.
Right. So, no, I'm really excited about it. You know, we went up and we checked the oak wilt area where we started cutting for the oak wilt.
That was neat.
Yeah, so you got to see that area.
We never did find the trench.
No,
but it was there. But it was with snow cover, I'm assuming. We could find it if it wasn't.
Right.
Actually, to tell you the truth, I thought it was going to be bigger.
The oak cut?
Yeah.
I think he said we're probably 2/3 done cutting,
Okay.
roughly. So there's a little more to cut, not a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, it's.
I was expecting something way bigger.
Yeah. Okay.
It was just, I thought, you could, in essence, you could almost visualize it wrapping your arms around the area, but it was definitely bigger than. It wasn't as big as I thought.
Okay.
But cool.
Other than that, it was a good week. A lot of good stuff coming out. We got a lot more to talk about. The prescribed fire stuff.
Prescribed fire.
I learned so much in that
We got to talk about that next week.
Yeah. So it's just I've really.
I think a cool factor for you was you're one of the very few private landowners.
Yes. Yeah. Out of 105 people, I think I might have been the only one there that was representing private land.
Right.
So. But I tell you what, we're going to wrap it up, folks. That'll do it for us this week. For those of you on the live stream, if you want to
hang out,
we'll answer a few questions if you'd like.
Any questions for Gabby or Mike or I or anything about what you saw tonight? We'll stick around for a few minutes.
So, let's see who else is on here. Tim C.S. boy, he's sharing the devil out of it. Good job.
Right. So,
all right. But yeah, we'll stick.
Yeah, we'll stick around. We'll just kind of save off this last segment, and then we'll see if anybody's got anything to say. Somebody's liking the show at will. Gotta like that. See, you made it.
First time being on live, so she was a little worried.
Oh, nervous, but we're good now.
So
see. All right, now she's no problem. Now we got to have her back when she gets it here.
Tammy Duck, thanks. Good show, she says. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Appreciate you chiming in and watching. So,
right.
I'll tell you what. You ready to sign off?
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Don't forget to share and like the pages and everything. Get in.
We talked about the contest, how to do it. Share, like the live stream. Share it with 3 friends. Go like Carbon Express, obviously, and then we'll get you entered for next week's drawing.
All right, folks. That'll do it for us. Take care.